The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. This is episode number 315. We are live, as always, on YouTube, streaming to over 150 countries worldwide. If you're out there in the live chat, go ahead and say something. We don't know that you're out there unless you do. If you're watching this in replay or listening in podcast form, go ahead and use a comment section. The conversation does not have to stop here. Send some comments, ask some questions, tell us that we're doing a crappy job, any of that, all that, whatever. Most importantly, if you're in podcast form and you like what you're hearing, go ahead and follow the podcast and give us a good rating. That does help in the algorithms. If you want to call or text into the show, yes, you can call or text into the show. Utilize the Ghost Tactical Hotline presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates over at Aegis Gun Care. That number is 530-364-4678. It's scrolling down below. And go check out aegisguncare.com. If you're a veteran, really anybody, but especially if you're a veteran and you're in that hole, you're in the darkness and you're looking for that light, call me, text me, email me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, but I could be a pretty decent ear, talk you through some stuff. More importantly, I can listen if that's what you need. If you are looking to get someone towards some medical attention, remember two things. One, you are not alone in this fight. You have a lot of brothers out here that are willing and able to help you in any way possible. And two, the world is a much better place with you in it. So please utilize the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255, the Veteran Crisis Hotline. We are spotlighting, as always, United States Marine Corps. If you have any questions on what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, see the website marines.com. And as always, we're a proud member of the Self-Defense Radio Network. Check out all your favorite pro-gun, pro-2A podcasts over at selfdefenseradio.net. Let's get this off of my ugly mug and say hello to a couple of distinguished gentlemen. Well, at least Kyle is. We'll go that way. From Anderson Manufacturing, hashtag Pony Express 2024. We got Kyle. What's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on.
You got happy early birthday, my man. I don't know if I'm sure we'll talk before Friday, but happy early birthday.
Yeah, big week for us.
Big week, Marine Corps birthday Friday and all of that. And I know that it's weird, and maybe it's just because we're Marines, but like I think that the Marine Corps takes our birthday just a little bit more serious than other branches. I don't know why, but yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And Central Command canceled the Marine Corps ball this year. Did you hear about that?
I heard about that. Now, I do have an inside source who's currently on active duty. He said only in the Middle East is the Marine Corps birthday canceled. Stateside still a go.
Yeah, stateside still a go, but they're citing operational commitments, which is interesting because it's for the first time in 248 years it's been canceled ever. 248 years. For operational commitment and talking with some buddies and all of that still are kind of in the know. I wouldn't be surprised if you hear the Marine Corps spinning up here pretty soon for something. I don't know where, but they're probably going to be spinning up somewhere. So happy birthday, everyone out there, especially the active guys. Stay safe and yeah.
Yes, sir.
Come back home safely. From the great state of Texas, our riding shotgun guy, the tactical virus. Leprechaun himself. What's up, Clove?
Yo.
And it's always Omar's fault. It is always Omar's fault. And if you know, you know. Everything good with you?
Yeah, it's all good. It's warmed up here. It's freaking sucks, man. Skeeters are like back out, and they're in force too. It's crazy.
Yeah. We've we've seen some critters that we thought were going to be in hibernation after the 25-degree weather last week that are back out. So here's what it is. Let's say hello to our channel members out there real quick. We got G-Webs out there. He says, second thumbs up. Have a good show. Tactical Fud Buck's out there. What's up, Buck? Let's go through and check out and make sure. We're going to give a shout out to all our YouTube channel members. Wes is out there. I'm not sure if we're going to see Wes or not in Tulsa. He said he may or may not be able to make it. Even if he's not able to make it to the show, maybe he can make it to our annual dinner. But hopefully we'll get to see Wes in Tulsa. Let's see. Any other channel members out there? I will say hello if they pop in. Let's say hello to everybody else out there. Thanks for coming in. A couple of newer faces, maybe at their second or third show. Welcome to the dark side. We hope we don't disappoint. We're not going to try to make you smarter. Let's be honest. We're honestly just trying not to make you any dumber. That's how low we set the bar here on this podcast. But we're going to have fun tonight talking about the shit hits the fan scenarios, the Red Dawn, or in Clover's case, Clover's much more into the zombie apocalypse. So we'll talk about those different scenarios and maybe what we do or what we might be able to do to prepare for those. I know that Clover's looking forward to a zombie apocalypse. He wants to go shoot some zombies in the head, don't you?
Dude, I want to raid some stuff, and
he wants to pillage the village. Is what he wants to do.
I want to be all kinds of trouble, dude. There's a lot of cool things you could do in a zombie apocalypse. You could be like seriously like king of the zombies almost.
Well, see, here's the thing. In all of those situations, whatever it's the Red Dawn, the zombie, whatever those weird SHTF scenarios, like all laws and rules are kind of out the window, right? So it's literally like, dude, I mean, it's going to be survival.
Even to an extent, dude.
100%. I mean, you're there to protect yours and your family. You do whatever you can to protect that, and it's survival of the fittest. And we're gonna talk a little bit about that real quick. Foxtrot 69 out there as a squid, and I love the fact that he refers to himself as a squid. I have much respect for that because his avatar is a little seaman, and I would have called him squid anyways. But it's nice that you refer to yourself. It lets us know that you care about us. He says, as a squid, I think all you need to be a Marine is to have a good collection of crayons. Just kidding. Much love. Hey, it's all good. It's all good. You guys are good for giving us rides. Let's see here. AB's out there. He says, listening on my way home. First snow and ice of the year. And did our government actually get everything right and get it paved and graveled and everything? No. Well, that shouldn't be a problem. We got another channel member out there. Say hello to Gizzard Gary out there. What's going on, Gary? Lizard Larry, if you will. Chris in Alabama. 95 southbound. There you go. 223 is out there. Rob out there. New York Outcast. Jacob S is out there. I'm sure I missed a couple people. I apologize. Sykes is out there. Gunmetal. Artax out there. Georgia Truckers out there. Mark Jackson. 95 southbound's out there. All right. So before we jump into our main topic, we are going to I'm going to start this real quick. I'm going to say, Clover, you add a question out there on the zombie apocalypse. Have you heard of a book series called Arisen or Arisen or I don't? He's into book 7. I'm not sure if it's Arisen, maybe. I don't know. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, Arisen. Yeah.
Is there an A in there, or is it he just misspelled it? Arisen.
Yeah.
He spelled it is Arisen. Okay, I wasn't sure. I had never heard of it, so I didn't know. All right. You guys know that every Thursday, Saturday, and Monday over on our YouTube community tab, we have the pony polls. Hashtag Pony Express 2024. Let's take a look at them. Came out yesterday. It's got over 1,000 votes. Pretty simple, guys. Kyle, Clover, Beatles or Rolling Stones? Kyle, if you had to choose one, which one? Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Rolling Stones.
Oh, my God.
Look, I want to be honest with you guys. I don't have too much experience with these two.
I hear you.
They're not any of my playlist. I'll just say that.
No, I understand.
I'm kind of in a John situation.
That hurt a little bit.
I'm in a John situation right now.
If John was here, I would be mansplaining who the Beatles and Rolling Stones are. I won't do that to you because I love you, but I would be doing that for John, 100%.
You should have snuck
right.
the answers.
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna start emailing you the questions ahead of time. You know,
there you go.
Here's what you need to answer on the first one. Here's what I expect on the second one. I'm gonna let you answer however you want to on the third one. But when it comes down to Beatles and Rolling Stones, here's how you're supposed to answer. So yeah. Let's see here. Clover, Beatles or Stones?
You know, I'm not the biggest fan of either, but I think the Beatles. Yeah, I'll go with the Beatles. There's enough. I like the Beatles enough more that it's quantifiable to say the Beatles. But
right, no, I hear you.
Yeah,
Beatles got some early votes out there in the chat. Mark Jackson said the Stones. Last I checked, the Beatles were commies. No, okay.
Separate the art from the artist already. Come on.
Right. Let's be bigger than that. Let's see here. Brandon says, respect the Beatles, but the Stones made so much amazing music for so many years, you can't beat them. Well, two things. One, the Beatles broke up in 1970, so it is what it is. If you look at all of their solo stuff and add it to the Beatles collection, pretty impressive. That said, even if they wanted to get back together on January 8th, 1980, what happens? Or December 8th, I guess. December 8th, 1980. John Lennon's assassinated, guys. So they couldn't get back together. Now, here's the thing. I do respect the fact that the Stones are still together. But at this point, do they need to be together anymore? They still need to be touring. No one wants to see them walking out on stage in wheelchairs and IVs hooked up to them, but it is what it is. No, I don't dislike the Stones. I'm a big Beatles guy. So Clover's text says, look, I have a crayon. Oh, so Clover, new channel member. Appreciate you very much, sir. If you're wondering what's going on with Clover and how you've probably noticed something's happening or not happening, if you will, over on Patreon. We have left the Patreon thing, and we are both just doing YouTube membership. So if you were over on Patreon and you want to continue, just come over to the YouTube side. Different reasons and all that. Foxtrot69, super chat. Appreciate you. Foxtrot, you didn't have to spend $1.99 to ask that question. I would have answered it for free. That said, down below the screen, you should see a button that says join. And we have different tiers in our channel membership, so you can choose which tier you want. And love to have you. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you for the 99-cent tier.
You like that?
Well, I do that too. But today is the 7th.
Most don't.
Yeah, today is the 7th, and so on the 7th, I dropped all the Patreon, of course, like you, but there was creators I was supporting. So I'd already was supporting a few on YouTube, but because I want it all coming out on the same day, I have to sign up on the same day, right?
Yeah.
So I went in with you and some other ones today, and not everybody is doing the 99-cent, and like. I think they're doing a disservice to things because I think they're losing out on a little bit of money by not doing that. There's people that don't want to give $4.99 for freaking membership.
I basically took my same tiers from Patreon and just brought them over to the YouTube side.
Yeah, me too. Minus a penny. because that's the way.
Minus a penny, obviously. Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Now, Mark says separate art from the artist. Totally understand that, and probably the right move. All it proves that you're better men than me. I can't. No, man. No, I promise you, I'm not a better man than hardly anybody. But no, I think what Clover was saying is there is a thing about art and the artist. Just because someone talks or sings about something doesn't necessarily mean that's their. Yeah, and it might be their views. That might be their views that day, but tomorrow it might be something different.
And dude, that's a call you got to make for yourself. It's the same as all this cancel culture, boycott BS. Like, there's companies I will not do business with: Home Depot, Target, multiple. But am I going to jump on the bandwagon of boycott them? No, I'm not going to. I'll tell you my experiences and why I don't patronize those places, right? Or is that the word? Patronize,
that's a word. I know it's a big word for East Texas, but it's,
and at the same time, when I go get my Starbucks, screw you, because I want my Starbucks, right?
I hear you. Brennan says, I think I'm dumb, but I don't see the join button. I don't see the join button, obviously, because I can't join.
Yeah, it's there
myself, but
so you can go to any video.
Yeah, any video, correct.
Any video, you can go to the channel page. So click below on where it says Ghost Tactical, or any creator,
just
honestly, you can do
click on that and say open a new window, and
there's a join,
it should be there.
Yeah. Any video, any live stream, any channel page, it is there. So look harder. If you're on mobile, I didn't think about this. If you're on mobile, you may have to close the chat and come back.
I didn't think about that. If he's on the phone,
cover it up, or just wait until the stream's over and click on a video.
It's all good. Real quick, let's say hi to TJ and Crystal. We'll be seeing them this weekend. Now Dale out there says, I do not support any anti-American companies or woke commie artists. That includes Garth Brooks. I don't disagree with a lot of that statement there. And Sykes says, the join button is not available if on mobile. So you can do that after the chat if you still want to. After this podcast, guys, you may not want to become a channel member. We'll just play it by ear, fellas. But I appreciate you. Real quick, over 1,000 votes. 56% were wrong and said the Rolling Stones. 44% were correct and said the Beatles. That's what it is. It is November, so the one that came out Saturday has 2.6 thousand votes for Thanksgiving. Turkey or ham, boys and girls? Clover, start with you. Turkey or ham?
Well, turkey, of course. It's Thanksgiving.
I hear you. Kyle, turkey or ham for Thanksgiving?
Ham, and it's got to have the pineapples and cherries baked on there too.
What is wrong with you, man? I'm starting to question our friendship in so many levels. I'm actually the only one I like both turkey and ham, but I'm the only one in our family that actually likes turkey. So we always kind of go like a spiral ham or whatever, which I'm fine with. But the pineapple, bro, come on. You gotta do it. Don't knock it till you try it, Ghost. I don't like pineapple in general, so. Okay, so are you a pineapple on pizza guy?
I am, but listen, hear me out on this. The ham, it doesn't have the same pineapple taste. It's like a pineapple mixed with ham. It's very good.
I'm worried about you, bro.
It's baked.
Hey.
Just
real quick, I'm looking on mobile now. Now I'm on Android, and I've got a join button. So
interesting.
Maybe it's a weirdo Apple thing, or maybe somebody's not closing the chat out, or I don't know. But just so you know, it's there.
Yeah, Gary says it on mobile. If you X out the live chat, like the actual
the chat box,
the live chat, you should see the join button. Like I said,
and Gary would know Apple because he's an Apple shill. So
he's an Apple shill. Hashtag we'll shill for apples. Gary's motto. Right. Joe says, stay on topic. Stay on topic. I mean, you're in the wrong place if you're expecting us to stay on topic.
Let's get back to this ham and pineapple situation here.
Yeah, Mark says, and Kyle with pineapple staying true to his shit hit the fan theme. There you go. Behind enemy lines in Michigan. What's up, Bill Alexander? 2.6 thousand votes. 71% say turkey, 29% say ham. I was not surprised by that because turkey is traditional Thanksgiving. But I know a lot of people that don't like turkey, so that's why I put that up there because I don't know. I love turkey, but I'm the only one in my family that does, so it is what it is. The next and last pony poll, 2,000 votes out there. Real simple, boys. FN 509 or the HK VP9? Kyle, I'll start with you. FN 509 or the HK VP9?
HK VP9.
All right, you redeemed yourself. I love both of these guns, but it is what it is. But you redeemed yourself. You're okay with me now. Clover, assuming that you would ever own like a tactical handgun like this, would you go with the VP9 or FN 509?
VP9.
Really? Yeah. I kind of thought you'd go FN. I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why. For some reason, I see you as in like a 509 guy. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. HK does not have a 22 version of the VP9, not that I'm aware of, but
not that I know of. No,
but FN does, which is interesting. But that wasn't the question.
No, this is true.
So, yeah, the VP9 feels way better, and the interchangeable side panels on the grip, and I mean, it's just got there's some cool tech to the VP9, and honestly, the VP9 is really similar to the PPQ, right? In the way it feels.
Yeah, I would say it's I never really thought about it, but yeah, it actually is. Yeah,
it's really
PPQ is going to have much better trigger.
Yeah,
but as far as the ergonomics and feel of it, I never really thought about it, but they're pretty similar.
It's really similar, and I love my PPQ. So
yeah. No, I'm a VP9 all the way. I love both these guns, but I'm a VP9 guy all the way. The VP9 to me, and obviously I haven't held every handgun in the world ever, but of all the handguns, which is quite a few that I've ever held in my life, the VP9 is the best feeling handgun to me. I love the feel of the VP9, so it is what it is. 2,000 votes, 57% say the FN 509. Now I wonder how many of those 57% have never held a VP9. And I'm not saying that the VP9 is a better gun. That 509 is actually probably, honestly, let's be honest, it might be a better gun. But the feel of the VP9 is unbelievable. 57% say FN 509. Ladies and gentlemen, those are our pony polls this week. Please go check out our friends over at AndersonManufacturing.com. All right. Foxtrot 69, another super chat out there. What do you think of the Ruger SR22 style rifle? I have zero experience with it. I would imagine that Clover has got some experience being a 22, and maybe Kyle does. So I want to let them. As far as me, I have zero experience with it, so I don't have an opinion on it. Clover, Kyle, SR22 rifle.
Turd.
Is it okay? There you go. I don't know.
It's like a poor man's copy, I guess you could say, in a way.
So is it an AR? He says an AR style? Okay.
Yeah. It's AR style.
So it's kind of like the M&P 22 or something like that?
Yeah. There's not honestly, there's not an AR style 22 that's worth a flip out there. It's I don't want to say a poor man's copy, but Ruger is,
that's what it is.
Kind of a poor man's thing compared to Smith & Wesson, and the M&P 22 is also a turd. So I was not saying the M&P 22 was good. I was just saying, was it kind of like in that similar? Yeah. Now,
style.
if you haven't been around 45,000 different models and pulled triggers on 172,000 models of 22s in your lifetime, then are you going to know? Are you going to care? Is it going to matter? But somebody shows up at the range with a standard Ruger 1022, and they're, you can want to shoot a match with them against that. I mean, they're going to mop the floor with you, right?
Someone's a 22 LR snob. Just saying.
I am 100% a 22 LR snob. You better believe it.
So let me ask you this real quick.
They're fine. Yeah, let's back up and say that. I recognize things for what they are. We don't always buy them because they're laser accurate or we're shooting competition or whatever. So yeah, there can be fun guns.
Of the AR style 22s, okay, is there one that stands out that you would recommend, or are you just kind of against the
Tipman
AR
arms.
22?
Tipman arms.
Okay.
Yeah, hands down. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Kyle, any with an AR 22? I don't even know if that's a thing, but I'm going to call the AR 22. Do you have any experience with the Ruger specifically, or any of the ARs in 22 LR?
Not the Ruger specifically. I've played around with the CMMG conversion kit in my ARs, and I mean they're fun. Like Glover said, they're fun to shoot.
Yep. I will give you guys I'll give you a suggestion. This is just me personally because I love it and it's fun as hell and it's just badass. If you're looking for a really cool out of the box 22 LR, the GSG 522, which is an MP5 clone. And I think Clover and I both have one. I don't know if Kyle does, but I know Clover and I both have one. It's an MP5 style rifle chambered in 22 LR. It's an absolute blast to shoot. I would recommend that. I've got one. It's sitting right over there, and I love that thing. Now, Mark asks, I question the SR22 reason for being. No offense to anyone that likes it, but the 1022 has AR mod kits, and I don't think anyone is going to dog the Ruger 1022. Matter of fact, I've got a 10. Oh, go ahead.
Here's the problem. And again, this is kind of my 22 snob, as Ghost so eloquently pointed out. The problem with your 22 mod kits is the way that those kits mount. They set in the way that the barreled action and everything sets in those chassis, let's just say, is super problematic compared to most chassis that are designed more for a functional purpose rather than the way that it looks. And so you lose accuracy with barrel harmonics and a lot of other different things because it looks cool.
No, I've got I got at Wanamaker several years. I've got the P90 stock, if you will, for a 1022, and it looks like an FMP90, but it's based off of a Ruger 1022 and all that, and it's fun as hell to shoot.
Well, it is a Ruger 1022, but
it is a 1022. It's just different stock, if you will. It makes it look like a P90, but I think the MP5 and the 22 is a much more awesome shooting firearm than that is. That's just me. I have a lot more fun. I love that thing. There's a lot of stuff. The great thing about the 1022, like you said, there's a lot of chassis or stocks or all sorts of stuff to make them look like other things, but it's based around that 1022 barrel and action. The great thing about the 1022 is there are options out there if you want to window dress, if you will, the 1022 to make it look something different. So
and let me say this before it pops up in the side chat out there. So dogging on that SR22 compared to normal, 1022, of course, and the Smith & Wesson M&P 22 as well. I'm dogging on them. But compared to the Mossberg 715T, oh my God, those things are amazing compared to that polished
piece of junk.
Oh my God, that is
the
worst. Bad? That is the worst. Yes. At least with the SR22, at least you're starting out with something that's decent in the 1022. Now you're screwing it up by adding a goofy chassis that the only purpose it serves is looks, and it screws up more than it fixes. But with the 715T, it's essentially the same thing. It's a Marlin 795, 765? I can't remember. Semi-auto, basically semi-auto 22 from Marlin, right? Or Mossberg, I'm sorry. With or Plinkster, to be honest, the Mossberg Plinkster with the shell wrapped around it, right? So it's a crappy rifle built out of a crappy rifle made into a crappy rifle. So yeah, it sucks.
There you go. Shout out to Nutty 357 out there. I haven't seen him in a while. Chicago Mike's got a question up there. What's y'all's thoughts on the PD 380? It's the Walther, obviously, that was released. Was it yesterday, I believe? I'll tell you, Clover and I actually had this conversation yesterday on the phone. To me, I have the old Walther PK 380, and I love Walther, and I love the company. I love just about everything about Walther, except the PK 380, which was a steaming pile of crap. To me, all the PD 380 looks like is an upgraded, upgraded model of the PK 380. So, will I shoot it at range day in January? Absolutely, I will. I will keep my mind open. I just have, unfortunately, I have the feeling that it's not going to be. Once again, I have pretty high standards for Walther with the PPQ. I still enjoy the PPQ more than the PDP. That's just my personal opinion. So it is what it is. Clover, Kyle, your thoughts on the PD 380 from Walther?
I am not familiar at all. I didn't.
It just came. It was just came out released yesterday. It's Walther's 380 version of the personal defense, the PD line, but they came out in 380. But it looks eerily familiar, like a model came out 5 or 6 years ago that was not very good. That's just me.
Yeah, it looks like they changed the grip up a little bit. It's still got the goofy, oversized slide man. I'm not opposed to slide mounted safety, but still got that big goofy.
They had the paddle mag release, which I don't dislike that, but it's not a wall. You know, it's just not something that Walther typically does.
You put that on the PPQ or something. You know what I'm saying? Who would love to have a paddle switch on a PPQ?
I think it'd be great on the PPQ.
But yeah, it's. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking. It's kind of like the PPQ PDP. I think Walther lately, and I like Walther, but Walther lately wants to take what they're already doing and tweak a couple of little things, change the way it looks, and then call it a different gun. It's like, come on, guys, let's be honest.
Yeah. Nutty says Walthers are nice. I believe got a plant in Arkansas. Their headquarters, their U.S. headquarters, are in Fort Smith. Been there a couple times. Good people, great people over at Walther. But here's the thing: you can be great people in a great company and make a mistake every now and then in firearms. Let's just be honest. They've all made mistakes, and that PK 380 was a mistake, in my opinion. And I don't know this. I'm just saying the way it looks to me, this PD 380 looks similar. So I'll shoot it at range day and hope that I'm wrong, right? And just hope that I'm wrong.
Well, Mark out there is talking about the worst gun he ever owned was the Walther P22.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I've got a P22, what do they call it, Target or Match or something. It's a 6-inch barrel version, and it's a very, very older model. I had a conversation with Walther on the podcast several years back. I guess it's been now because it was before Cody left and then came back. But anyway, with all of Walther's 22 stuff, and this is including the P22, some of the issues they were having with the P22 was chamber related. And I'm not going to get into the geeky metrics and chamberings and what am I thinking? I guess chamberings. But anyway, chamber reamers that they use, I should say. Anyway, they changed some of that stuff. So some of the latter models of the P22 don't have, and I've experienced this too, they don't seem to have nearly as much problem as the earlier models of the P22. So
yeah. Now Gord says that version 1 of the PPQ had the paddle mag. I don't remember that.
They got rid of it. Yeah.
I just don't remember that. So yeah, I'm a fan of the paddle release. I have no problem with the paddle release. It just on that particular gun, it was just not good. Let's see here. Anything else we want to go through? Abigail says, I need flashbangs, quad nods, 2 pink lawn flamingos, and plenty of 4 loco. Me personally, I don't like the quad nods. I like a mono night vision. Kyle, what was your preference for night vision? Did you like the mono, or do you like 2, or what was your style of nods that you like the most?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the mono, the PVS 14. And that's really the only one I've ever had experience with. That's what we used in the Marine Corps. And
I liked it because you could put that over your left eye and still have your natural night vision in your right for, looking through scopes if you need to, but you still have the night vision for IR and all that. I just like the mono to where I have the best of all worlds, have the natural night vision with my eye, and then I have obviously the nod on the left eye. That's just me personally, but I'm just, it's too much crap going on. Not the original night vision you weren't around for that we got to mess with were terrible. They were bulky and heavy and just terrible. But at the time in the mid 90s, they were like the high speed, low drag stuff,
Yeah, I came in like right when the PVS 14 was like,
I
guess getting launched in the Marine Corps. And we only had one set for our fire team. So in Iraq, we had one set of night vision goggles for our whole fire team.
So the problem with the old school wasn't the fact that we couldn't get the night vision. It was the fact that we couldn't get the batteries for them half the time. So they were fucking useless, Yeah. You probably heard horror stories about nod batteries back in the day. That was a real thing. So yeah, we might have only had one in a squad just because that's the only ones that had batteries, just saying.
Damn.
Oh yeah, it was pretty bad back in the day, but it is what it is. There you go. All right, guys. We're going to jump in and have some fun. Ben Houses, I'm not a Navy SEAL, night vision. Why? All right. Well, I don't want to go down a huge rabbit holes. I do want to get in, but this kind of goes into maybe a shit hits the fan or Red Dawn scenario is night vision.
Or thermal.
But I'll let you talk about thermal. Okay. I'm not a huge thermal guy. Not to say I don't like it. I'm just not a huge thermal guy. I don't have near as much experience with thermals I do with night vision. Right. Now that said, night vision brings you several different things. Assuming that your enemy doesn't have night vision, obviously that gives you an advantage to be able to track, to be able to see, and to be able to maneuver and operate in the darkness. And if you are a Marine or SEAL or any of those guys, we like to work in the darkness. Okay. That's where we have a tactical advantage, especially against an enemy that doesn't have night vision. Okay. So you're able to do more at times when we are at our best is at night. Now, another thing about night vision that's good as far as military and operational side of things. If you have IR attached to your weapon system and you could utilize the IR to target, to point out different things, using IR, which the naked eye can't see, but guess what? Night vision can pick up IR, which is infrared. So there's a lot to be said about having anything that you can do to have a tactical advantage on your enemy. Now, once again, I'm talking military side of it. I'm not talking anything, in civilian world or hunting or anything like that. This is strictly military side. Is any advantage that you can get over your enemy, then you want to be able to do that. That's why we started in the military in general, started doing night missions, is because we work better at night and most people are not expecting a night raid, right? So you work better at night, have night vision, have IR. You're going to position your team, your squad, your platoon, your whatever in a position to have a tactical advantage over the enemy. So night vision in general, assuming that your enemy doesn't have it or have much of it, maybe they might have one set for whatever they've got. But when you've got everyone operating with night vision, especially with IR, you most definitely will have an advantage over the enemy. Before I bring Clover and talk thermal, Kyle, your thoughts on night vision?
Nah, it's just like you said, Ghost. In the military, you're just taught we own the night. That's where all the real work's done, is during night hours.
Yep.
And it makes sense. Like, it boils down to know your enemy. They're human beings. When do human beings sleep? Nighttime. So anytime you're doing a knock and you got to take a high value target, that's the time to do it.
Yeah, HVTs, the great thing about them is a lot of the times they're surrounding themselves by a bunch of people. So what happens? They feel safe. They feel secure. They feel they can't get to me.
Yep.
They might still be up at midnight, but they're probably not up at 3 or 4 in the morning. Eventually your body wears down. That's when we get going. So that's what we did a lot of our training. We were doing night stuff. We did a lot of night navigation. We did a lot of stuff the night because that's when we have our advantage. And I'm not just Marines, it's just the military in general or anybody. A nighttime scenario gives the aggressor typically the advantage, right? So that's my opinion. Kyle basically says the same thing. Now, Kyle, before I go to Clover, do you have, whether it's hunting or whatever, do you have much experience with thermal?
I have a little bit. We did have some thermal optics in the squad I was in the Marine Corps. So.
Okay. We did not. Thermal was not around then, I guess. At least it wasn't with us, you know?
Yeah. So like a lot of our vehicles had these things, these cameras that had some thermal technology. And then we had little pocket thermals, I think one per fire team.
Okay.
That you could just carry around. They were handheld. It wasn't anything mounted to the rifle or anything like that.
Now, was your DMR the one that typically had the thermal, or who had the thermal? The team leader or what?
Yep, the rifleman.
Okay, so the DMR, that would make sense, right? I mean, it would make sense if anyone was going to have it. You want Overwatch to have it, right?
Hey, and thermals came in handy finding IEDs. Just to be honest with you.
I never thought about that because, I mean, you worked in the IED realm of things, being you were a combat engineer, right? Yeah. Okay. So you were with IEDs. So I didn't even think about that side of things. I didn't realize they would show up on thermal.
Yeah. They're give off a heat signature, especially if they're any kind of electronic.
Yes, sir.
Or anything with them.
Unless they're deeply buried, right? Or we'd still be able to see them through.
Oh yeah.
If they've been there a while, then you're not going to see it. But
yeah,
if it's fresh, you're definitely going to catch it.
That's good. I never thought about that. That's pretty good stuff. Clove, you've probably got more experience. I mean, definitely more than I do. Kyle's obviously had some experience. Obviously, yours is not from the military standpoint, but you are a big fan of thermal. So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages? And let's take it into the realm, since we're talking about the shit it's the fan, maybe Red Dawn. If you want to expand into those type situations as well, let's go into that thermal setting.
So before we get that real quick, because we may have people out there that don't understand, and a lot of people talk about when they're talking about night vision. Night vision still picks up on light. It's still
ambient light
or infrared light. Keep in mind that when you're talking about night vision, infrared light is not invisible to the human eye. It depends on the wavelength of the IR light you're using. And if you don't believe me, get down range at some time in pitch black dark from an infrared light, and you will see a faint red glow most of the time because the wavelength. Now, and I don't remember if the shorter or the longer the wavelength, this gets into science.
Shorter.
Right?
The shorter, I think the shorter is a stronger wave.
The less visible the infrared light is because of the wavelength, the less bright it is through your night vision. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So the more light you want to get on that IR, you got to realize the more chance there is of somebody picking up on that red signature. Now the good thing is,
the enemy's typically not looking for red glows, right?
Unless they know you're using night vision, and then in that case, they could have a spotter or something that potentially is. But here's I'm going to morph it back into thermal real quick, and then we'll go down that road. So when we're talking about night vision and you're talking about some type of combat, engagement setting, right? Human probably at a distance, so they can't pick it up. But then you got to think, okay, what other things might, from a wildlife perspective, that humans could use? Let's say dogs, but canines don't see red well. So from that perspective, even if that enemy or whatever is using animals, is using particularly dogs, right? They're going to have the same trouble that a human is going to have picking that up. Now, if you want to go pitch black, it has nothing to do with light. You're not relying on light at all. Thermal's the way to go. So for detection, as Kyle pointed out, any type of a heat signature at all or heat variance,
Yeah.
you're going to be able to pick up with thermal.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a fair point you need to talk about. It's not necessarily heat signature. It's a variant in the core temperature of that area. It doesn't have to be blazing hot or cold. It's just got to be different than what's around it, right?
And it's freaky if you ever get out at night. Get out at night, especially if you're in kind of the middle of nowhere. Get out at night with a thermal monocular. I wouldn't advise pointing a thermal scope at somebody, especially if it's mounted. But if it's not mounted, fine. But get somebody to walk down range with a flashlight, and if it's an old bulb style flashlight, even better.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's gonna put a lot of heat off.
Turn around and get them to point that flashlight at you, right? Or just take it down range and set it pointed toward you and set it on the ground, and look at that through a thermal, and it's freaky because if you don't look through the thermal, you've got all this light coming back at you, right? You're just flooded with light. If you look through the thermal, there's one little bright speck. There's one little bright speck, and it's where that bulb is hot. And that's like all you
that's
see.
it.
It's insane. So for detection, you can pick up things with even a moderately priced thermal in that $3,000 to $5,000 range. You can detect.
Is there a brand that? Is there a brand that is not the high end, but not like the cheap, fake thermal stuff?
Pulsar. I'm a Pulsar guy. Anything less than that, and I think you're giving up range, right? And with thermal, with night vision, you've got the same limitations, honestly, with night vision that you do with thermal, but those ranges are drastically decreased, right? Because you're looking at, have you ever tried to use night vision in the snow? Have you ever tried to use night vision in the rain? Have you ever tried to use night vision throwing our light onto some type of a reflective surface, for example?
Yeah, it's not fun.
Again, it's not really the same as thermal. Thermal don't care nearly as much, right? So, so when you're talking about ranges, with that 3,000 to 5,000, let's go with a Pulsar, for example. You've got 1,000-ish yards at detection, and we're talking about something as small as maybe even a rabbit. Right.
So let me ask you this, and then before we move on, because you're bringing up detection, and for the people out there that have never even been around thermal, ever even used it or looked through it, it is not necessarily giving an outline of what that is. It's just a detection signature.
Well,
it could be anything, right?
Yeah.
But okay.
I was getting there. So detection, something as small as a rabbit, you're not going to know that. All you know is it's a heat signature. Detection, even moderately priced, you're probably talking 1,000 yards, right? Then you've got identification, and from detection to identification, depending on the size of what that is a huge difference. Now, like a cow or a deer, I mean, you could probably tell that at 300-400 yards, and especially if you're watching something move. And this is where you learn different animals, if you're talking about thermal in a hunting situation, especially if you're hunting around cattle and stuff like that, because we've done that a lot. Can you tell the difference between a coyote and a dog, for example? And you can. They walk differently. Their gait is completely different. A coyote's got this lanky limp to him, right? And a dog doesn't walk like that. So it at that range, you're
but you better know that stuff too,
Yeah. And it's just using it and observing with it is how you get used to that kind of stuff. So you've got your detection range, you've got your identification range, and you're going to be able to tell a human too at, a few hundred yards typically. But then you've got another issue, which is the actual range at which
engagement range, probably.
Your engagement range.
Yeah, exactly.
And your engagement range is going to be roughly half of whatever your identification range is.
100 to 200 yards maximum, probably, right?
Yeah. So, the whole idea, are there people that take shots at 500-600 yards, 800 to 1,000 yards or something with thermal and stuff like that? Yeah, there's people that do that. Don't get me wrong. And it's whatever you're comfortable with. But here's the thing, especially if you're running thermal, you're talking zero light signatures. You're dependent upon zero amount of light. It can be no stars in the sky, overcast, whatever, pitch black woods, or pasture, whatever. And especially you're running suppressed and you're running subsonics suppressed. You don't need range at that point.
Yeah.
You can literally get up right on top of something, You can get well within 100 yards, well within 100 yards usually of something. And so that's the beauty if you couple all of these different things together. So yeah, the whole fact, the reason I like thermal better than night vision is it can be used in the day as well as the night, because again, it does not care about light. You can flood and actually damage your night vision if you're not careful. Run it in the day, or if you get too much light coming into it, right? That's not the case with most of the thermals that are out there. Well, that's not the case with any of the thermals because they don't care. And then the detection range is a plus as well. So that's typically, not having to deal with any light. It does not matter, like ours. Well, it doesn't matter. You shine a flashlight looking through a thermal, and you ain't seeing nothing.
You get a flashlight night vision, better watch your ass because it's going to hurt.
Well, I'm talking about the other direction. If I'm looking through a thermal and I shine a flashlight out there somewhere, I'm not even going to know.
Being a flashlight shone at you. If you have night vision on, you're done. Yeah.
Well, even if you've got your IR on and you turn and there's a wall next to you, it's potentially going to splash on you, or what do they call that? Whiteout on you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I did think of one scenario for you, that night vision would be better than thermal for you. Is in the zombie apocalypse, the zombies wouldn't show up on thermal because
there's going to be a variance in the temperature between them.
You think they're going to be that cold?
Again, I'm not going to think they'll be cold. They're going to be they will be warmer. They're going to be absorbing heat, and they're also moving. And so as they're moving, there's still ligaments and joints, and there's still things going on that there's heat being generated from friction or whatever it might be.
It sounds like you study the zombies a little bit to know.
A little bit too much, bro. A little bit too much. Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good.
But yeah, you're going to be able to pick them out. Because, I mean, I picked out, like, I've gotten cold-blooded animals, right? Like frogs, snakes, I mean, you can see those in thermal.
So Foxtrot 69 found the join button. So welcome to the dark side, my man. Awesome. Welcome to the dark side. Thank you for the support. I do appreciate it. I don't know if I'm called Abby. I think I've called Abby out, didn't I? Channel member as well, but I think I called Abby out, but I'm not sure.
Why can't you drive with a thermal? Why couldn't you drive?
Right. Who said that? Oh, Abby says you can't drive with thermal. You can drive under night vision.
I will tell you that we can. Yes, you can.
Yeah, that's what I've done it, so I wouldn't know. I've quads before looking through a thermal, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I know.
I've never have, but I would imagine it actually might. I don't know, be easier. Would it be?
It is.
So Kyle, is it easier?
Is better to me.
So let me ask Kyle. In a Humvee, where you've probably had night vision and thermal while in the Humvee, which one is easier driving from your perspective? Because Clover says thermal's easier.
Night vision is what I'm going to say, but that's only because we're using on a Rhino mount. So like the thermal is mounted on the
Wait a minute.
On the front.
So yeah. So here's the thing, and maybe this is where she was going. If you've got a windshield, then thermal don't work. Thermal ain't going to be able to see through the yeah. So, but if you're talking about an open air, like in a quad, like I've rode around on a quad before with thermal, and it's fine.
Yep.
And you can stick your head out the window if you were driving a Jeep or.
Well, this is true. Let's be honest. This is true too, right? Yeah.
And I've done that before out the window of a truck. Riding in the backseat of the truck, slow through a pasture or something like that, and scanning. But I'm outside the vehicle technically doing it. So yeah.
True. So that Red Dawn scenario, the zombie apocalypse, whatever that SHTF scenario is, I'm going to start with Kyle. If you could only have one, night vision or thermal, which one you going with?
Thermal.
Going thermal? Yeah. Clover, I'm assuming you're going to go thermal as well?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, especially the in-world scenario. I will definitely want to know something's out there before they know I am. So, yeah.
Yeah. And as much as I like night vision, I probably do go thermal as well in that scenario. And here's why. People have a big misconception. Maybe they just haven't spent a lot of time at night, and especially in really dark, like where I live up in the mountains, like it gets dark, like there's no city, right? So you're not getting the city lights and all of that. If you can spend 15, 20 minutes in outdoors in the woods, where there's no light coming around, you would be incredibly amazed at how well you see at night naturally. It's called natural night vision. So the night vision you really don't necessarily need. And I do like the idea, whether it's for hunting, whether it's an enemy or for food, having the availability to see heat signatures is crucial. Because in that scenario, the people that I care about the most are going to be with me. So if I see any other heat signatures, my initial thought is identify them, but my initial thought is they're enemies because they're not with me. So there must be either an animal or someone against me. Either way, it's a threat, or it could be food or whatever. Having the available, and like Clover said, and a lot of these you can expand the detection out to 1,000 yards. You may not be able to identify exactly what it is, but you can see a heat signature 1,000 yards away. That's a huge advantage, huge in that scenario.
If I knew, so if you said, okay, here we go, we're gonna put thermal on our paintball guns. We're gonna get out in the middle of the woods, and you and I are gonna quote unquote battle to the death, right? And I know you have thermal. I'm gonna decoy you. Oh, it's gonna be insane.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm gonna put heat warming packs up all over the place and things that you're scanning, going, what is that? What is this? What is that?
A simple hand warmer could really mess someone up.
Well, by the way, that's how the best way to sight in your thermals is with hand warmers. Like buy when they go on sale. Once hunting season and the winter's over, buy the big bulk pack when they put it on clearance, because they're awesome for that. But yeah, if you can set out decoys with thermals and things like that, there's a way to counter whatever you want to call it. Like counter.
There's a way to counter night vision. There's a way to counter it all if you've got it. Now,
reflective surfaces is how you counter night vision. Like you tear somebody up.
Exactly. That's exactly right, and that's what Foxtrot says. You can cover yourself in a reflective blanket. Here's the thing, like as I just said, you can counter anything if you know how. Now, what we're banking on is in that Red Dawn scenario where we're being attacked and all of that, and they're hunting us. They've come here and now they want to gather everybody up, so they're hunting us. I'm taking the chances that 20-year-old kid that's out there looking for me hasn't been given reflective gear or any of that stuff to combat night vision or thermal. They're just out there low man on the totem pole patrolling. So once again, we're talking that Red Dawn scenario. Now, if I'm going up against another trained individual, then it's whose training's better and whose experiences are better and who knows the landscape better, who can maneuver and navigate through that terrain better. Well, I'm still going to take that advantage because this is my home. I know everything around this place, and you're coming into my domain. That said, a well-trained person can adapt. So, what you're expecting in that Red Dawn scenario is that they're not sending the most well-trained person out there. They're sending the low man of totem pole and say, hey, go walk around. If you find someone, bring them to us, right? They're not expecting to meet people like us that are going to be well prepared.
I'm just saying you need to know the drawbacks and whatever equipment.
Oh, no, I was agreeing with you. Yeah, you can combat any of them if you know how.
You need to know the drawbacks and limitations, because that way you can account for countermeasures or whatever that the other side may be trying to use against you, right? That way you can mitigate that as best as you can.
Now, Mark brings up a point about his thermal. He said he's got a Pulsar Thermion 2 scope. He says you can change the color palettes when it's raining at different things. I don't know. That sounds pretty cool, though.
Yeah, you can go sepia. You can go with almost like the Predator style,
Oh, really? Okay. So it's not all like the yellow and red that I've seen.
and then you've got, well, that's weird that you've seen, because the most common I see is either white hot or black hot.
Oh, see, I've
So
used
that's,
the yellow and red one.
yeah, that's
And maybe
primarily, I
that's just the
primarily
setting that he
use,
was on for some reason. I don't know.
so I primarily use white hot and black hot. And the reason that I use, and that's
Mm,
two different settings. One, the hottest is the darkest black, and one, the hottest is the whitest white, right?
sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and there's a reason that I do that, and especially for detection, is that offers the most contrast, right?
And
So
then
being
you might
able to
switch to another
distinguish,
setting to identify, or you
no,
switch. Would you
once
switch
you, that's a
settings?
matter of
Okay.
range. Identification is just a matter of range. As you pull in, like
Mm.
the outline of a human, right? That's carrying a, let's say, carrying a rifle, that's kitted up, got a backpack and a helmet
Not
and
gonna
all
be
this
hard
stuff.
to identify at that point.
At a few hundred yards, regardless of what setting you're on, you're going to be able to literally see the gear that they have on. You're going to be able to tell that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this dude's wearing a jacket, he's carrying a rifle, he's got a helmet on. You're going to see that because all of those things collect and put off heat differently, right? All those different substances, right? The cloth
Yeah.
and the clothing, the so forth and so
Yeah.
on. And
Sure.
is gonna retain heat and put off heat differently. So there's these varying shades, and that's what I'm saying. If I'm white hot and black hot, sometimes if you run colors, the colors meld together to the point that it's a blob.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
run
That's
white
true.
hot or black hot, the contrast between the different temperatures is so stark,
Yeah.
I guess would be the word, that it adds definition, and you can actually
Now,
make out that sort of stuff.
now, Mark says you bounce back and forth between black and
Yeah,
white. It's hard to
exactly.
beat that.
Yeah, yeah, that's what
So
I'm
there
talking
you
about.
go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. Yeah.
So you and I had this discussion, I don't know, about a month or so ago in general. It's kind of how it's coming to this point, and Kyle, I'll bring you in on this as well. But now there is a thing out there, and I don't know if there's a digital thermal, but I know there are digital night vision that is
Basically
not
all thermal.
necessarily running. It's what's that?
Basically all
Well, yeah,
thermal.
you're right. You're right. You're right. Okay. But there's a digital night vision that is not based on ambient light. It's a digital picture that has
Camera.
ways of, it's a camera, exactly what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's not a scope, it's not
Yeah.
it's a camera.
Mhm.
Now if you're out there and you're going on Amazon because you're hearing the night vision thermal talk, and you go on Amazon out there, first of all, utilize our Amazon link, or any of these guys out here, just saying. But you're going to start, if you do a search for night vision, chances are you're not going to see the 14s. And if you are, they're going to be expensive. What you are going to see, these $200-$300 night vision monos or whatever. And you say, oh, that's pretty cool. I can get into night vision for a couple $100. Yes, you can. Understand what it is, though. It is not true night vision. It is digital night vision. Like Clover said, it's a camera. Now, for specific uses, can it be effective? Probably. Okay. Now you have a digital night vision, Clover, don't you?
Oh yeah, I have it.
Kyle,
Yeah,
do you have one, or do you have any experience with digital night vision, Kyle?
I do not.
Okay.
Nope.
Clover, do you want to explain maybe some digital night vision for people that may not understand what it is?
So it's basically a camera that sees infrared light. I mean, it's
Yeah.
How else do you explain that? I mean, it literally, that's what it is. There is a bit of a delay to it because of that, right? It's got to get the image in, it's got to process it. It's a freaking camera. So, I mean, there is a little bit of a delay to it. If you do a lot of moving, and let me back up and say there's a big difference between a $300 or $400 Amazon digital night vision and a
True.
$5,000
Right. It's a
name
whole other
brand
issue.
digital
Absolutely.
night
Yeah.
vision, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And here is why. The camera, the processor, the electronics, the guts of the camera inside there are just faster, right?
Yeah.
And so if you get a cheap one and you're moving a whole lot, it lags, it'll lock up, it'll do weird things,
Yeah.
right? Because it's
Now, if
trying
you're
to
going to have it on a tripod just to kind of see stuff, it might be okay
if
for
you're
what you need
scanning
it for.
slow, yeah, it's fine if you're scanning
Yeah.
slow or something like that. But as I think as Abigail was pointing out, if you're trying to drive, right?
Yeah.
If you're even walking and moving your head very much, from side to side or something like that, it can be problematic.
Yeah.
But on something like on a scope, right? A digital night vision scope, you're not going to be moving that just a whole heck of a lot. So
no, well, you shouldn't be. You're
probably
not
not going to be that big of a deal. So it's more if you have the monocular for your scanning. And let me back up and say this: where we're talking night vision or thermal, highly, highly, highly recommended. And I know these things are expensive, especially if you get something decent, but highly recommended that you have both. You have handheld, top of a handheld, and you can have a handheld that mounts on the helmet, and you can get all that kind of good stuff. You can still use your helmet mounted as a handheld, but highly recommended you have a some type of a handheld, and then a platform. Let's just say mounted, an actual scope that's got the crosshairs. Would
you like to go with a night?
You don't want to muzzle flash everything you spot, right? Like that's stupid.
Yeah. Now, would you rather have the combination of a night vision handheld and a thermal scope, or a thermal handheld and a night vision scope if you had the combo?
Some people like, I'm going to go both. I'm going to go thermal because I want longer detection range and longer engagement range, and you simply are going to get that, the potential for that, right? Not that I'm ever going to use that, but I want that potential.
Yeah, sure.
And thermal offers that. So other than just goofing around, I don't do anything with digital night vision anymore.
Sure.
I'll play around with it. I'll go out in the woods and I'll look at things and you know that sort of stuff. But like once you get into thermal, like and I say that, I mean it's like getting into, I guess, 9mm or anything else.
Whatever your vice is, right?
Right. Like you just take to it, you kind of become a snob with it. And when it comes, I started out, and especially when you're dealing with animals, and I guess this gets to in-world scenarios a little bit if you're trying to feed yourself, and your most efficient way of doing that or whatever. But I started out with night hunting. Here in Texas, we're blessed because when as long as you're talking non-game animals, you can basically do whatever you want. You can hunt them, trap
dogs,
them,
coyotes, all that kind of stuff.
Do it from a helicopter. You can do it at night. They don't care, right? And so, for a long time, I've been hunting things. Well, let's be honest, shooting things in the face, right, at night. And so I've started out with lights. Everybody starts out with lights, it seems like. And
I don't judge that you like to shoot things in the face with at night. I don't. You do what you got to do, man.
But you start out with lights, and you start learning different animals and what colors of light they can see, right? And you get different filters and lenses for your lights, and then you say, okay, well, here's the thing, like it doesn't matter when you're talking about pigs, but here's a cool thing with pigs is if I take and I go down to, dating myself because I ain't been to Radio Shacks in forever, but if I go down to Radio Shack and I get like a rheostat and I wire in a rheostat to my flashlight, and I take and I slowly turn the brightness up while the light is on the pigs, right? Then it simulates like the moon coming out from behind a cloud. And it's not this all of a sudden a bunch of lights on them, because that's what spooks a lot of animals, right?
Yeah.
And that's also could be if you're talking about another human, being able to manipulate light in certain ways where it looks more natural, right? Could be a benefit. I don't know. But I went from lights, and that was just a progression for me. I went to lights until I didn't have much money. I spent on various lights that were expensive. Then I went into night vision, and then finally jumped into thermal because I got to dealing with a certain 3-letter company that their night vision absolutely sucks, and I don't recommend. They're a horrible, horrible, horrible company. And I had a bad experience with a pretty high dollar night vision, and I had Ultimate Night Vision, actually, is the place that I was working through at the time. Tell me, yeah, we've cut ties with them. We don't mess with their crap anymore because it's crap. And so ended up getting a really good deal on a thermal, which still took me like 6 months to pay off, right? And I've never looked back. So I've played with everything, and it's been a progression. But once you get to that point of night vision and you really get out and use it, and that's what a lot of people, they get this stuff and they may just like, I'm Joe Cool operator or whatever in my backyard or clearing a house. Sure. And that's one thing, but get out in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night and walk around and play with that and hunt animals with it and do other things. And
You'd be surprised what happens in the woods in the middle of the night. Just saying, guys. You'd be surprised what's out there. Yeah. Snob says, surprisingly, he has a badass little thermal camera that hooks up to the phone from Amazon. Not a thermal sight, but it's pretty cool to play with. He says identify. He used the words identify. He said, I can identify a cow at over half a mile. So there you go. And that's pretty good considering it's a little Amazon thing that hooks up to your phone. So yeah, kind of cool. He says the cheap digital night vision actually works good for hunting, but he wouldn't want to have to use it for defense, but it has its uses. Absolutely it does. He says if you've never spotlighted deer out of the window on an 85 Chevy on a dark country road while driving some Keystone Light, are you even a man? That's a good question. That's a very fair question.
With a 22 Magnum.
That's a very specific question as well.
Right.
So
I will just add with a 22 Magnum.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. So we go on hour 10. I've got to record another podcast here in a little while, so we're going to cut this one off. But we did get into the night vision versus thermal, which is a really cool way to start the whole series that we're going to be doing on the whole Red Dawn apocalypse, whatever you want to call it, end of the world scenarios. Next week, we're going to start talking a little bit about our philosophy, whether it's bugging out, bugging in. What are some of the stuff that if that Red Dawn scenario happens and all that, we're going to have some discussions on that. I hope you guys had fun. Thanks for the comments out there. It was really fun. I had no idea where this was going to go down the road of night vision versus thermal, but in that Red Dawn, in that SHTF scenario, if you have access to night vision and or thermal, it will 100% give you an advantage over not everything or everyone, but a lot and most, I would say. Go ahead, Clove. You got something?
No, I was agreeing with you.
Okay. Before we get out of here, I do want to give Kyle an opportunity to discuss something about thermal or night vision that we haven't discussed, anything we want to touch up, but obviously talk about Anderson Manufacturing and what you guys have going on there. I know you guys have been busy. This time of year is crazy for you, but anything going on and where they can find you?
Nah, like you said, Ghost, this is a good intro to the Shit Hits the Fan show. So
it's going to be fun. We're going to be doing this for this whole month probably. And I'm really this is kind of stuff that I really enjoy,
Yep. And definitely want to say, check out AndersonManufacturing.com. But above all that, I want to say happy birthday to all the jarheads out there.
Happy birthday.
And happy
Absolutely.
Veterans Day to all you vets out there too.
100%. It did piss me off. To say it pissed me off, it didn't. It just irked me a little bit. So in the entrance of our little subdivision neighborhood that we live in, there's a gentleman that always puts out all of the flags for Veterans Day and all of that stuff. And it's really awesome. It's really cool. He puts out all the different branch flags and all of that. But this year, right in the front, in the middle, he has a big white cross with the helmet on it, and it said "Some gave all." And I'm just being picky, and maybe I'm being a little bitchy about this, but it irked me. I was like, "That's Memorial Day, bro. Like, it's a whole different day." Now, I'm not saying we don't need to recognize it, but like that shouldn't be the cornerstone and the centerpiece of your thing. Is "Some gave all," because that's Memorial Day. This is. Unfortunately, it's different. In my book, it's different,
Yeah, I agree. I think you should have stuck with the flags. I think that's a good representation.
Yeah. AndersonManufacturing.com. Anderson Manufacturing for most of the social medias. You can probably find all our social medias over on Manufacturing and AndersonManufacturing.com. And we do ask you to do this. Go and find them on Facebook. Go find them on Instagram. Find a random post and give them a hashtag and a comment. Hashtag Pony Express 2024. Let's throw that out there. Kyle, as always, my friend, obviously our relationship expands much further than Anderson Manufacturing. You are a brother of mine, and happy birthday to you. Thank you for your service as well. I'm looking forward to seeing you here in a couple months in Vegas and all of that. Bill Alexander, Semper Fi, happy birthday, Marine, Semper Fi, and all of that. Yeah, I appreciate you very much, man. Anything coming up that you're able or want to bring up that Anderson's got coming on the line, or are you kind of in a gag order right now?
Hey, haven't forgot about the bolt action. That's still coming out. Other than that, yeah, pretty much on a gag order for everything else. That is top priority right now.
Yep. I can't wait for Vegas. I'm sure there's gonna be some cool ass shit coming in Vegas that went through.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yes. Nelly says, I would like an Anderson lower to put together. Well, AndersonManufacturing.com. They can take care of you. Is there
a code? Is there a code that he could possibly use?
There is a
code.
Went over there
and got an Anderson lower.
Maybe if you use the code GHOST, you would probably get a little discount over there. Now, unfortunately, for using that code GHOST, sometimes that discount is a negative discount. They might charge you 10% more. But no. Now Nutty out there says lost wages. Hey, I get it. But I'll tell you one great thing about Anderson is they run some pretty amazing, like just out of the blue specials. So now, Kyle, if you go over to the website or the social media, the website especially, is there a way to get notified of like sales and all that?
Not that we have on the website. But what
just
I will
follow on Instagram and stuff, probably.
Yes, sir. Follow Instagram, follow all the social medias. But what I will tell you is I would check out the Trump Punisher lower or the 1776 lower. Those are pretty cheap right now. So
yeah,
check them out.
Yeah, there you go. Appreciate you very much, brother. Clove, you've got one more podcast, don't you?
Dude, speaking of Anderson Manufacturing, tomorrow will be the final on-the-spot segment of the podcast brought to you by Anderson Manufacturing. So
wow, see what he did there? Well played.
Appreciate Kyle and Anderson for kicking in and helping out this season with that part of the podcast for sure.
We appreciate you, man. Great shows.
Tomorrow I've got Fold AR in the house, and that will be the last one.
Ooh, Fold AR.
Yeah. So
we got a buddy. Well, you have I know him. He's a buddy of yours, but is over at Fold AR now, don't we?
He is, yeah. Mm-hmm. So we're gonna have him on. We're gonna talk Fold AR, and then nice. And then be headed to the Wanamaker this weekend. Headed to
the one in Macher.
One in Machers, and that'll be fun. And then
hey, Wes says he's going to see us, so obviously he is going to be able to make it. So I know at one point he wasn't sure if he was going to make it. So
nice. Just look for the EAA booth, probably.
But,
or table. I say booth. Table.
Yeah.
Out of 4,500 tables should be easy to find, Wes. Just look for the. Yeah. But so that'll be fun, and then it'll be back to. Good Lord, I've got to get like you. Stuff is piled up, especially since TriggerCon, and it's like I'm so behind on the normal videos and stuff. There's so much sitting here, and between now and SHOT, hopefully I can get things caught up, and then we start all over again. The SHOT Show was piling stuff up. So
I'm recording a Jarhead podcast here at the top of the hour with someone that'll come out probably next week.
So Jacob had a question out there. We're going to address it.
Did I miss it?
Yeah,
I must have missed it.
It started.
Oh, it started. Okay, I didn't. Okay. I just saw a Ruger M77 and 243 at my local gun shop. Does anyone know the going rate for M77s or if they are a reliable firearm? So, Clover, this is right up your alley. So take it away.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned it. M77s are a phenomenal rifle. So answers that question real quick. And going rate, Depends on the condition. Depends on a lot of different factors. Is it an M77 or an M77 Hawkeye? Is it a tank safety model? Is it what are we talking about? But I would say typically 600 up, something like that.
Okay. Kyle West says a 1776 lower, says it's out of stock. So you finally sold all of them, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like just check out Trump Punisher would be a good option then.
The Trump Punisher. And here's the thing. The Anderson lowers are phenomenal. So especially, I think he says, he says he doesn't have an AR. It's past due to get one, especially if the SHTF Red Dawn occurs. I'm kind of be kind of prepared more than a lot of people. So here's the great thing about that is if you're not wanting or don't know how or not willing or able to put together your first AR, Anderson's got a lot of great full rifles that you can get that you don't have to put together. Now, if you're a guy that likes to tinker and all of that, then have fun, get that lower and go to town with it. But yeah.
And for
Foxtrot says you have to have an FFL. Well, here's the thing. Yes, the lower is a serialized part of that AR platform. So the lower is the serialized. So you would have to have that shipped to an FFL. So there you go. As far as me, yeah, we've got a lot of stuff, got a lot of cool stuff that have come in the last couple of days. Like I said, I'm recording a Jarhead podcast at the top of the hour with a good friend, and that'll be on the probably next week sometime. More importantly, in the next month or so, I don't know exactly when, there's going to be something that we're going to be working with that will shock the foundation of everything that this channel has been built on.
You're welcome.
I
said you're welcome.
For what?
Oh, I'm just messing with you.
Oh, yeah, you know what it is. So, I'm an uber excited and have fun with this, and but it won't be here for a couple more weeks probably. I don't know, it might be here tomorrow, but I suspect it won't be for a couple weeks. But I'm really looking forward, and we're gonna have fun with it. Sure.
I'm thinking early December.
Yeah, late November, early December is probably a reasonable time frame to expect it. But I'm really looking forward to it. Go 6-pack code. Haha, there you go. Yeah, we're gonna have fun. But yeah, we got a bunch of stuff coming. I got some new gloves in. I got a couple streamlights that came in. I've got a couple shotguns on their way. This other weapon system, I'll say that it's on its way. Got a lot of stuff. Man, I've got so much stuff that I need to get done. It's almost disgusting. But the great thing is my stressful time of work is past, and I will have time to get to the range and all of that stuff. Chicago Mike says Ghost has a lot of gray hair, but still looks young. I got a lot of gray hair. Like, I don't care. Like, there's nothing I can do about gray hair, man. I'm not one of those guys that's going to color it. As long as I have hair, it's what it is. And if I lose my hair, then I'm just going to shave it. Like, you'll never see me with like the horseshoe old guy thing. If it gets to that point, I'm just going to shave it. Right. But gray hair, it's in my family. My family has all been full heads of hair with basically white hair. So in the next few years, it'll probably end up being white. But I still feel pretty young most days. There are some days that I feel my age. I'm not as young as people think. I'll say that. I think some people do get surprised, especially when they see me only wearing hats all the time, and then they meet me and they're like, I didn't realize that you were that old. I'm not crazy old, but I'm older than what most people think. But it is what it is. Nutty says mine didn't turn gray, it just turned loose. As long as mine doesn't turn loose, I don't care what color it is, so I'm good. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. Get out to the range, be more proficient with your firearms, keep up to date with what's going on at local, state, and federal with all the 2A legislations. Make sure that your representatives are doing their jobs. If they're not, guess what 2024 is? It's an election year. You can fix that. Most importantly, guys, get out and enjoy your freedoms of being an American, one of which is to keep and bear arms. We'll see you next week. Semper Fi.